I'm going to start with you,
Yes.
ladies first. So tell me the process, because I saw the documentary. It was incredible. So I just want to tell, I thought it was incredible. So the process, 7 years, it's such a long time. So tell us about a little bit about your process.
So initially it was a process of four. We wanted to have 4 years to follow a group of first-generation immigrants. From the moment Donald Trump declared that he's going to run for election, through the years of his presidency.
But nobody thought he would win, obviously.
And that it will last so long. We just finished another film in Hudson, and I found myself in Hudson. It was screened in Hudson. And I ran into the community, and I met Ramisa, and I assigned her. I fell in love with her right away. She was in high school, and she was about to apply to college. And her father told me that she needs somebody to help her with application. So I volunteered my husband. And that's how we started. I asked her to find 5 kids. And we thought that was the process. We took 6. We figured out during the 4 years, some will stay, some will not, but they all stayed with us.
And how about yourself? What was your experience like?
Well, Zuzka kind of brought me into it. We'd done several films before. And so it was interesting to me in that, Hudson, as I'm sure a lot of people know, has sort of become a vacation destination for, people in the city. And I think not many people know about the Bangladeshi community there. At least I wasn't aware of them. And a lot of people I talked to hadn't either. So it's kind of interesting to me for Zuzka to have kind of gained their trust, to gain this access and to meet these young people. And then they kind of, open up to us in the way that they did, was really what, I guess got me excited by it. And really from the first day we shot, we were in the playground and the kids are screaming, "I'm ready for life." And, that was really the moment where I was like, okay, this is something that has legs and something that I could see kind of growing into something that I could really be happy and proud of and kind of commit to.
Excellent. And this goes for the cast as well. What were some of the challenges you guys would say? You guys can start first, like a few challenges, and I want to hear from the cast as well.
I think the first challenge is to work with teenagers. Frankly,
They're flighty.
How do you decide to go on a mission like this in advance and be sure that they will show up for every screening? Gather all of them, and they were remarkable. So that was the first challenge. The second challenge was how do you have them talk? On the beginning, we talked to them as a group, and then we started to realize they're growing and they're changing, and we have to dedicate more time to each one of them. And the third challenge was to fundraise, because we realized it's going to be a longer project than we initially thought.
Yeah, I saw the donors. There was a lot of donors. I was going to ask you about that.
Well, we were very lucky to get some funding from the New York State Council for the Arts, and then fundraising and private funding. So we managed to put it together.
Excellent. If you don't mind, I would like to hear from the cast real quick.
Yes.
Like their experience, a little bit of their
Introduce
challenges.
What do you want?
I think personally, a big part of it was thinking about how the project was going to come together at the end of it, because we didn't know what it was going to look like. Everything was really just, we would film, and I didn't know what it was going to look like, how much was going to go into it. So I really tried to be honest, knowing that Zuzka and Jeff would give me full capacity to edit later. So I had a lot of internal debating of like, should I put Nadia in? Should I not put Nadia in? But I think at the end of it, I decided to really just put myself out there, and whatever happened, happened. But that was at least my biggest challenge.
Nice.
Definitely one of my biggest challenges was thinking about how my voice would be portrayed in this story, right? I didn't know Zuzka or Jeff before the project, and alhamdulillah, I really think they did a beautiful job capturing our voices and our stories. I can't say that more than enough. So I did really feel towards getting more involved with the documentary that we were in good hands. Towards the beginning, and I definitely going through it, you say a lot of stuff over 7 years. So, and throughout that entire process, we learn and we grow and we reflect, and we might not necessarily think the same how we did towards the beginning. Of course. So that was one thought on my mind, how would that be reflected across the documentary? But I think those were some of my biggest challenges, and through the humanity and compassion of Zuzka and Jeff, they were alleviated quite well.
Awesome. Last.
Yeah, I echo exactly. Oh my gosh, my voice. Sorry, guys. I'm losing it, it seems like. But I echo exactly what Mahmouda and Jahed are saying, right? Like, when I talked to Zuzka and she was like, I'm interested in a documentary, I'm going to film you, like, for a few years, I was like, you're going to film me? Like, that's enough. Like, okay, that's it. But obviously there's a lot that comes with it. And I think when you live in like the community that we grew up in, there's constant surveillance, right? And everything you say holds weight. It not only affects you, it affects your family, it affects everything. So I think the biggest challenge for me is being honest to myself, to Zuzka and to Jeff, being honest with my friends and cast members in a sense, and just being really truthful with myself and answering some really hard questions that I had to also think about, and just to be truthful. And I hope I did that. I mean, you guys are all the judge of that, but I think that was one of the biggest challenges.
So I'm going to ask the audience a few questions. I'm going to see if they have any questions for you guys. This is like, you get to ask any questions you might have. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, to the director of the cast, by the way, fantastic job. I love the end of this. In the beginning, you guys spoke about a juxtaposition between having to make your family happy versus having to make being yourself happy. Back then, did you see there was the sort of middle ground there path, and compared to now, you think that's possible? Have you been working towards that middle ground path? Is it better than what you guys thought previously, and how does that really correlate with how it is now versus back then?
Yeah, thank you, Teddy. That's an excellent question. So I've experienced this in my brother's lives as well, that, we should strive to make our parents happy while they're still around. And, we should listen to what they say and fulfill their wishes. And in terms of like who to marry or those kind of big life decisions, I've come to learn that the best way to make your parents happy is if you yourself live a fulfilling and meaningful life, and then your parents will know that you're on a good path. And I think that's what will ease their mind the most. So, and when they want you to make these decisions on who to marry, they just think that's the best choice for you. And I think they would be open to being wrong. You're pleasantly surprised, right? So I think that's been my journey with having to how will I actually make my parents happy, and my experience with it.
That's great, beautiful.
To echo off of that, I think the main message that I got from like this entire experience is to choose yourself, like similarly to what Jahed said, right? Because I look back at my 17-year-old self and I feel like I can sense all of the pressures that I had, all these expectations that other people had of me, that my parents have had of me, and it's suffocating. You can't live your best life when you are thinking about like 10 other people are thinking about the life that you're choosing. So I just to say, like, it's still a constant struggle, at least for me, to appease my family, but also to live the life that I want. But I think by the end of this documentary, what I have learned is that, like, I need to choose myself. I need to choose the path that makes me happy now that I know that other paths exist, and that the ones that my parents carved out for me. But yeah, just choose yourself, because that's the answer.
Nice. Is there any other questions? Yes.
I'm just wondering, again, the cast, you're kind of like giving a lot of, it's very vulnerable to tell your story and then have somebody else put it together and kind of put that in the hands of somebody else. And so how did you navigate that relationship, and what were your biggest motivations, and how is the documentarians kind of address that? What did you think about it?
So I met Nadia kind of early in the process of the documentary, and I didn't share this with Zuzka or Jeff until, further down the road, and even I was not willing to put it in the documentary. But then, I kind of talked about it with myself, and I talked about it with them, and we decided that, I would just say what I wanted to say and just, have no filter and really be authentic. And later, if I felt like it wasn't something I felt comfortable doing, I didn't feel safe, or it wasn't, the path that I ended up taking, that we could take it out, we could edit it. So knowing that I had that fallback really allowed me to fully just be honest and, let my story out and just allow it to be what it is. So they really let me know that it wasn't just about me as a subject. I've really come to know Jeff and Zuzka as part of my family, and I, feel really invested in, and we see each other outside the documentary. So it became more than the project. And so I knew that everything that went into it was going to be with my best interests at heart. So I knew that it was going to be done with a lot of love and consideration and thoughtfulness, and that there was no ill intention at all.
So, yes, right there. Perfect. Oh, I think you're fine.
Just that, and instead of how do you decide who's storyline is the one dominant? Because there are a lot of people, and at least you see them this day have I do create dominant roles of the other where that's weren't as visible, but imagine they lived full lives for 7 years as well. So I'm curious on Jim Bob process.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with how much of themselves they gave us. And certainly the three people here gave us a lot of themselves. They're very open with us. At times, it felt like even more open with us than they were with each other, which was sort of something else we had to kind of deal with. So I think, yeah, to some degree, it's just really who gave us the most, intimate looks into themselves, and who were the most present with us when we interviewed them and shot.
I want to ask the last question. So basically, what is the message? I mean, it's a documentary, but what is the message that you wanted to put out about, what is this saying to the world? What do you want to tell the world with this documentary? In simple words, I guess.
That changing cultures is very complicated. When you move from one culture to another, it is much more complicated than we would like to think. I think also to just listen, and the message is to listen to communities that are insular and they don't give you the chance to go in, and these kids in some way gave us the opportunity to talk to them and see how they are struggling, and the struggle was particular to a particular era.
Thank you. I want to give them a round of applause. And thank you. Yes.
I'm gonna be pretty soon. What's the?
Yes, we have few more screenings. The next one is when?
Next one's in February in Hudson, so hometown screening. That'll be exciting. It's at the old opera house there, 19th century opera house.
I
gotta go.
Invited.
Yeah, you guys should come by. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a big thing. The whole community is going to come out for it, so that'll be exciting. And then we have a few other things in the works, but nothing we can say is happening officially yet. And yeah, I'm sure we're talking to a few distributors too, so I'm sure it'll be online in some way pretty soon, probably sometime next year.
Yeah.
I want to give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
And thank you to these guys for giving us everything they gave us. The movie's only as good as what they brought to it.